Welcome to The Edit with your host, Vivian Cole. Brought to you by Vogue Media Agency, the podcast where branding, visibility, and influence are curated with intention. Each week, we cut through the noise to explore strategy, storytelling, and what it really takes to build a brand that's seen, heard, and remembered.
Welcome to a special episode of The Edit. I'm Vivian Cole. Today, in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we're stepping into a conversation that feels both timely and timeless, purpose over performance. This is not a motivational episode, it's a reflective one. Because Dr. King's legacy does not rest on optics, applause, or public approval, it rests on conviction, courage, and an unwavering commitment to service, especially when that service came at a personal cost. In today's world, leadership is often measured by visibility, by metrics, by followers, platforms, and perception. Performance has become the proof. If it looks good, if it sounds good, if it's shareable, then it's assumed to be effective. But purpose asks a different question. Purpose asks why you lead, not how loudly you lead. And that distinction matters, especially for those building brands, organizations, and influence in spaces that reward performance more than integrity. Dr. King once asked, "What are you doing for others?" Not what are you building for yourself, not how are you positioning your image, but what are you contributing to the lives and dignity of others? That question is uncomfortable because it requires honesty. It forces leaders to examine whether their work is rooted in service or self-preservation, whether their brand exists to elevate communities or simply to attract attention. Purpose-driven leadership is not performative. It doesn't rely on constant validation. It doesn't shift with every trend or public mood. It is steady, grounded, and often inconvenient. Ethical branding works the same way. Ethical brands are not perfect brands. They are accountable brands. They understand that trust is built over time, through consistency between words and actions, through choices made when no one is watching, through restraint as much as expression. In a culture that rewards immediacy, ethics require patience. You don't always see the return right away. You don't always get the applause. But what you build lasts longer. Performance seeks approval. Purpose seeks alignment. When your leadership is rooted in purpose, you are less concerned with being impressive and more concerned with being responsible. You think beyond optics and toward impact. You measure success not just by growth, but by who benefits from that growth. Dr. King did not lead to be liked. He led to be faithful to his values. That distinction is critical for leaders today who feel pressure to soften messages, dilute convictions, or over-explain themselves to remain visible. Purpose does not negotiate with fear. That doesn't mean purpose is loud. In fact, purpose is often quiet. It shows up in decisions that don't trend, in boundaries that protect people rather than profit, in leadership that creates room for others instead of centering itself. This kind of influence is not built overnight. It's built through repetition, through trust, through showing up even when the outcome is uncertain. Legacy is not created by performance, it's created by consistency. And legacy requires a long view. Dr. King spoke to generations he would never meet. He worked toward outcomes he would never see. That is the nature of legacy-driven leadership. It is not transactional, it is transformational. When you build with legacy in mind, you stop asking, "How does this make me look?" and start asking, "Who does this serve?" You think about what remains when the spotlight moves on, what systems are left behind, what values are embedded in the work. For brands, this means aligning mission with action. It means refusing to borrow language from justice movements without doing the internal work. It means understanding that ethical branding is not a campaign. It's a commitment. Values are not statements on a website. They are choices under pressure. And here's the truth many leaders avoid. Purpose will cost you something. It may cost you speed. It may cost you popularity. It may cost you opportunities that look good on paper but don't align in practice. But purpose gives you something performance never can: integrity. And integrity builds trust that outlasts trends. In leadership, influence rooted in service looks different. It listens before it speaks. It amplifies voices instead of replacing them. It understands that leadership is not about control, but stewardship. Dr. King's leadership was grounded in moral clarity. He did not separate ethics from action. He understood that leadership without values is just management of perception, and that lesson is critical today, because influence without responsibility becomes dangerous. Visibility without ethics becomes exploitation. Branding without purpose becomes hollow. Purpose anchors you when performance fails. There will be moments when the metrics dip, when the audience shifts, when the applause fades. Purpose is what keeps you steady in those moments. It reminds you why you started, who you serve, what matters beyond recognition. So on this day, honoring Dr. King, I invite you to reflect, not on how to perform better, but on how to lead better. Ask yourself, what values guide my decisions when it would be easier to compromise? Who benefits from the influence I'm building? What am I willing to stand for, even if it costs me visibility? Leadership rooted in purpose does not require perfection. It requires courage. It requires humility. And it requires a willingness to be accountable to something greater than yourself. Dr. King's legacy reminds us that the most influential leaders are not those who mastered performance, but those who committed to service, those who chose justice over comfort, those who believed that leadership was a responsibility, not a reward. As you build your brand, your organization, your platform, remember this: performance may win moments, but purpose builds movements. Performance may attract attention, but purpose earns trust. And trust is the foundation of any lasting influence. Thank you for joining me for this special episode of The Edit, brought to you by Vogue Media Agency. I'm Vivian Cole. Today and always, may we choose purpose over performance and build influence rooted in service, ethics, and legacy.
Thanks for listening to The Edit with Vivian Cole, brought to you by Vogue Media Agency. Be sure to subscribe for more insights, share this episode with your network, and join us next week for another conversation on building brands with clarity, confidence, and impact. Visit voguemedia.us.
Vogue Media Agency offers comprehensive services to help small to medium-sized businesses, faith-based and nonprofit organizations, content creators, and entrepreneurs establish and grow their online presence. Focusing on website design, landing pages, social media management, podcast training, branding, weblog creation, and public relations, Vogue Media Agency provides a convenient one-stop solution for clients looking to elevate their digital footprint. What sets us apart is our personalized service and niche expertise. We are your marketing consultants. Contact us today.
To contact Vogue Media Agency, call 212-470-2730 or visit voguemedia.us.